Okay, this time I'd like to call the regular meeting to order on Tuesday, December 12th, 2017, City of Twinsburg. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Here.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Fury? Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Okay, we're now going to have an invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Mr. Bellin.
We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us tonight. We give thanks to be able to be together. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place. Help us to work together, and may we give our best always. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need approval of the minutes for December 5th, 2015. Any changes? Okay, with the minutes are approved as written. Now we have no awards or presentations tonight, and audience participation. Is there any?
First we have Sheila Williams.
Hello, everyone. It's a little me and the mayor attended the Summit County State of the Affairs on Thursday. I'm not going to talk about the opioids because I think everyone's aware that it is impacted. What I did pass out was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I think I had spoken before that we had a workshop maybe a couple of months ago, and we identified these as major crisis area. And part of the presentation on Thursday was to talk about some facts on these, and opioid is intertwined in each one of these. I think that's clear to say. Would you say that, Mayor? I'm going to give some brief facts on some things. When they talked about adolescents, they were saying 30% of high school kids drink, 10% at the middle school. E-cigarettes are up and used by high school students, and that's a big concern because they are addictive. And pregnancies are down. The question becomes if it's termination or abstinence, so that's an issue when we talk about adolescents. When we look at the aging population, 90% of the adult protective services that we investigate in Summit County comes from someone within the family. It's a kid, grandkid, a family member. So that's very discerning because I think I've spoken how we started with a grant, one sheriff person, and now it's really ballooned into a much bigger stable of figures for the aging population. They identified some things with aging populations also. They suffer from isolation, they suffer from loneliness, and I want to say Twinsburg does a fabulous job with trying to engage our seniors. I won't say that we couldn't do more, but we do a lot when we look at a lot of other communities. Housing is an issue, and I don't think people realize how housing can become an issue once you get to a certain age and you really can't maintain your house, your kids may be out of state, this sort of thing. They talked about, I think the number was 6,900 for a nursing home. And when you think about that, if you don't have private insurance or housing funds from the sale of a home or savings account or 401, you're at a really, really bigger risk. I think we've seen that with the fire that we had up on Glenwood a couple of years ago, that the house was in such disarray and the hoarding because they really could not maintain being there, but they couldn't afford to really be in a nursing home either. So as we look forward in our future here in Twinsburg, we might look possibly to contractors that want to build maybe a 3-level, 4-level senior citizen something that's reasonable. And when I say reasonable, maybe under $1,100, where they're seniors, versus $1,500, $1,600 plus utilities and everything else with things like that. So that was one of the things they talked about with the aging. Chronic disease. Some things are avoidable. It's diet, exercise, but also with the opioid, the chronic diseases will become more as they age, and that was something that was brought up in the conversation. Infant health and this sort of thing, when you look at children, 40% of the kids in Summit County are on Medicaid. So that means that they're living below the poverty level. I think they gave the dollar figure of a family of four of $2,800 a month. And that may seem like a lot of money, but when you talk about living someplace safe, buying formulas, buying diapers, food, that's not a lot of money. And I think they did give an example that they went through when we were there. So this infant mortality rate and trying to work with these young parents, Summit County has a lot of programs. We have a lot of programs on site. The WIC program here in Twinsburg is up in Pinewood. And I know that there's service, and there used to be one in Macedonia, so that becomes an issue. And then when we come down to mental health and again the addictions, half the people that are using drugs are depressed. They may be unemployed. They may have some slight mental illness. I don't know if you all saw the TV this evening. This guy from Akron was saying he was schizophrenic and there was a police chase. He was afraid of them killing him. And then he ran into an abandoned building. Homelessness and mental health tend to go hand in hand. So they're trying to do some things, and I know we're trying to address some things with the Board of Health. But I found the most informative thing is all of these things go round and round. And it's here in our community like it's everywhere else. And so I just gave you that information, and the mayor may talk more about it when he gives his report. But I found it to be very informative, but also very concerning, because we are continually hearing more and more about this. Alcohol, drugs, poverty, housing, lead, unemployment. All of these things are contributing to the decline in this next generation and in our generation, because a lot of these people are over 50 years old. So let us not be fooled, but when you talk about 30% of the kids in high school drinking, that's a prescription for futuristic other problems. So I just wanted to tell you what happened at our meeting on Thursday. If you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to say one thing, this is my time now, not recording time. Whatever you all decide on 91, it backs up to me. I keep talking about how it's right in my backyard. It's cold, it's snowy, and accidents are going to increase, which creates more complaints for the roundabout at Glenwood and causes more trouble for the other side as you're coming down towards me. Whatever decisions you all make, let us all look at the bigger picture of this and move forward, because I know you're doing some studies now too. Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Thank you, you too. Any other?
That is it.
That's it? Okay. All right, council communication and committee reports. Mr. Steele.
Okay, the Architectural Review Board met on the 7th. We had one case on the agenda for them, and all was with the 2026 Summit Commerce Parkway with signage from Walt Plastics, which is a new business that's in the old Darko building on Summit Commerce. Ground sign, directional signs, and a non-illuminated directional sign, and they approved them all.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Scafidi.
Good evening, thank you. Under my committees, Finance and BZA have no meetings planned for the rest of this year. However, they will be meeting at the beginning of January, and we'll be announcing those meetings when we come back from our winter break. Other than that, I have nothing else other than to wish all of our residents a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, however you celebrate. I hope it's happy, healthy, and safe, and have a good New Year as well. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. McFerrin?
Just that the next meeting for the Community Relations meeting is Thursday at 5 in Reminderville. And I'm looking forward to my new committees in the new year.
Great. Mr. Bellum?
Yeah, no committees have met. The mayor earlier this evening did give us an update on the clubhouse. I imagine you'll go through some of that here in your report. Just wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, happy New Year.
Great. Mr. Barr?
Okay. Daisy Walker from the Environmental Commission was nice enough to help me out with my report. Basically, we're just kind of a summation for the Environmental Commission for the year. We'd just like to extend our thanks to the mayor, Attorney Maestros, all of council, the city staff, the Tinkers Creek Watershed Partners, Chris Campbell, Derek Schroeder, Lynn Muter, Colette Wolosnik, and all the residents. We had a really good year this year. We had some tremendous help combining the Earth Day celebration with the Metro Parks. We had over 450 people in attendance for the year. The annual environmental cleanup day was phenomenal. We partnered with Tinkers Creek Watershed this year. For the first time, it went very well. We had 70 plus residents and non-residents collecting trash around the city. Also, thanks to the residents for participating in the annual shredding event. We shredded over 7,500 pounds of paper, and that presumably all gets recycled, so it's something we're proud to offer for the citizens. Again, we would not have been able to do this without the hard work of all the environmental commissioners. In addition to some of those things, we passed out over 75 rain barrels this year. 12 community service forms were filled out for Twinsburg High School students and one for a Euclid High School student. And 4 Twinsburg residents were presented with certificates of appreciation for donating their time and resources to promote a cleaner Twinsburg. So on behalf of myself and Daisy Walker, again, the Environmental Commission Chair, we'd just like to express our gratitude to everybody. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry, I should
have a
mention,
report?
I did not have, my committees have not met. So, it's all good. Mayor?
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things going on around town that I've been able to participate in. We've had breakfast with Santa this past weekend, along with the Santa Run. Thanks to the Firehouse for hosting that. It's always a busy event. A lot of young kids running around, but we had a hockey team that was there to help volunteer, but everything went smoothly. And then Santa Run, the fire department helps with that, along with Rotary. And I know it was a very busy, cold day with 100 and probably 20 stops. So
200.
200.
Yeah.
That was one route.
Wow. So I know they spent all day from basically 8 o'clock till 6:30 at night delivering gifts to kids around this community. So I just want to thank them for doing that. This coming weekend, I'll be participating again with Shop with a Cop. Again, it's an amazing event. It's a huge event. I mean, we've got 58 kids this year that have been sponsored. That we'll be taking just from Twinsburg, and then we meet a bunch of other departments at Stowe High School, and then we all, I guess, converge on target. And it's kind of comical once you get inside and you see this officers running everywhere with kids. But it's a great event. I just want to thank our police officers for organizing that in their association. Things coming up, we have Light the Night that's coming up on the 13th. That's the city's Hanukkah celebration, and so I encourage you to come out to that. It's not just for those that I guess are Jewish. We get a lot of people that just are interested in learning a little bit and eating some latkes, which somehow I've gotten over the years part of helping make. So I'll be there cooking again. But I encourage you to come out. It's a fun event. And then just lastly, I did give an update on the clubhouse. If any residents have any questions about things going on, there's just a lot of moving parts going on behind the scenes, trying to make sure we prepare ourselves to open this up sometime in probably July. So we're working hard. I know if you're driving by, you're seeing the progress. We had glass go in some windows today, so doors go on. It's a lot different looking when doors go on. So it's exciting to see that. It's probably going to get closed up here in the next couple of weeks. And then I just want to thank council, residents. Just finished up my second year as mayor, and it's been another kind of whirlwind of a year. It's been fun. I enjoy it. I love my job. The hours are crazy, but I just want to thank all the support that I've received over the last couple of years. I look forward to serving out the next couple of years. Looking forward to 2018. I know it's going to be another great year for the city, but anyway, just wanted to share that as we go into the holiday season, and just wish everyone just a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. That's all I have.
Thank you.
And reports.
Department head reports, any reports?
Larry, your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Just a very brief report tonight. Starting out with the Independence Parkway extension, the grants that we received associated with that. We have wrapped up the grant cycle for those. We have processed payments, provided the state with all the appropriate information on the cost, and paid the primary contractors, and now have been reimbursed. And ODOT reimbursed us for $178,000 through the Jobs and Commerce grant that we received for that project. And the Development Service Agency reimbursed us for $281,686 through the Ohio 629 Roadway Improvement Grant. So that is all done, and we can wipe our hands of that right as of the end of this year. Also wanted to bring you up to date on what's going on with the old school abatement of the asbestos mitigation project. That is well underway. Actually, it may actually be complete this week. It may go into a little bit next week, maybe a couple of days, Monday or Tuesday, but beyond that, it will be complete. You may have noticed that in the newer part of the building, some windows have been removed. The windows from that section of the building will be removed because they have asbestos in the glazing for the windows. In the older section, that is not the case. The asbestos part was in the lintels, so the windows will not be removed. So you will see, you may have inquiries about why the windows are out and whether that's part of demolition. No, that's part of the asbestos mitigation. The demolition is anticipated to go forward beginning middle of January.
Larry,
Yes.
the windows that have been removed, are they down to like the first floor windows? Do we have a safety, or not a safety,
No,
but a window that's standing open that people can crawl through?
No.
And get in?
What's happening is the up to 10 feet in the building, any opening will be closed with plywood temporarily.
That's fine.
Anything above that, there'll be a plastic over the window area just to keep the elements out. But no, the building will still be secured.
Okay.
So, and the fence is up and will remain up around the building. The Connecting Communities First Mile, Last Mile project, which is related to finding ways to connect our trails. The contracts have finally been signed for that through the AMATS and other funding entities, and we'd had a preliminary meeting that I told you about previously. It's now in the inventory and analysis stage and mapping stage. We expect that to occur for another 60 days or so before we have any significant meetings and further progress on that, but I'll keep you informed. The next meeting of the CIC will be on January 16th at 6 p.m. It will be held here in City Hall, either in the jury room or in the mayor's conference room. The location we usually use down at the center on the square has been preempted by the Girl Scouts, so we're going to be moving here. You'll see a newsletter article coming up in the mayor's newsletter that was submitted basically by me to help clarify some of the issues related to when a home business becomes a problem. We've had some experiences in the past where we've had complaints about home businesses being operated and whether they're legal or not legal.
And I wanted to just provide something to give the residents an opportunity to think about, okay, is this an appropriate place to have my home? Beyond that, that's it for now. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish council a happy holiday season, wish the residents a happy holiday season, and see you on the other side.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks. Karen?
Good evening, everyone. I don't have much of a finance report other than I do look forward to being able to have a finance committee meeting to go over, recap 2017, as well as discuss revenue and appropriations for 2018. But I would like to just say, besides wishing everyone a happy holiday, I just thought of a quote that I just wanted to share with you and hope that you value it as much as I do. And that the greatest gift you can give someone is your time. Because when you dedicate your time, you're offering a part of your life that you will never get back. So cherish your time with your loved ones and value your friends during this holiday season.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. I just want to make one more comment. I didn't share my report, so I know Sheila spoke, and I did attend the state of county health, and she touched on just a couple of things, but I would encourage council next year if they have an opportunity to attend that, because we kind of live in this bubble in Twinsburg where we think everything is perfect, but there are things that go on in our community that we're not aware of, and then when you start seeing the statistics from the county level, and they go through from birth all the way through seniors, all the different issues that they deal with, and that they're able to collect data on and see trends and see changes. I mean, it was an hour and a half, but it was a very interesting presentation on just the lives of basically everyone. So thanks for inviting me. That's all I have.
Okay, then we'll move on to legislation. The first is Resolution 112, 2017.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a consulting services agreement with GPD Group for the State Route 91 I-480 interchange.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 112, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Scafidi. And so just to clarify, with the intent to reduce congestion and improve safety at the 91-480 interchange, the city undertook a transportation improvement assessment for Central Twinsburg. The results came in 2016, and at that time, council asked Mrs. Moore to find funding for the project, which she did. This resolution is to hire GPD to perform the planning, feasibility study, survey, geotechnical, environmental, and preliminary engineering phases of the State Route 91 and I-480 interchange. So we applied for state highway funds and received $3 million toward the advancement of this project. The funding for this is to provide an Ohio Improvement Safety Grant of I think the total is $452,380. It's a 90-10 split. Federal funds pay $407,142, and the city will pay $45,000. With this, we also have a CMAZ application request into AMET, and we did get $3.5 million for that. The survey work in this contract will be used by ODOT to provide drainage improvement and address the ramp flooding that occurs at that area. Is there any discussion?
I guess the challenging part for me is, I've been very focused on our budget from a short term, and it's kind of this balancing act of looking at funding to look at feasibility studies for projects that may go on in 2022-23. We want to encourage grants. We want to encourage us if we can do 90-10 or 80-20 splits on larger projects. Again, this is a congestion project in terms of we've got safety money because of the increased accidents as it relates to the congestion in the area. It's not a resurfacing, it's not a rebuild. And so I think that's where council's got to weigh on, for me, this has not been a high priority for me, just because I'm more focused on the next 3 years in terms of where our budget's going. So whether it's $5 grand or $45 grand, that's it's numbers that I'm looking at. I mean,
Right, so you're looking in the short term.
So, it's again, but it's that challenge of that balancing act of this is a project we want to do in, 4 years, 5 years.
When would this project begin? Could you?
We're anticipating construction around 2022, 2023. It really relates on environmental clearance and right-of-way clearance. Right-of-way probably going to take a little longer on this project, but it all depends on what we end up doing. But it's right now from about 2023.
So we're talking quite a few years out. Okay, Mr. Scafidi?
Yeah, the sticking point for me on this is that, although I appreciate all Amy's hard work and her seeking funding and getting the funding and any department head that does that, and I believe in the 16 years I've been here, we've had various department heads seek funding, and I don't know that we've ever turned it down. And so I don't want anybody to think that we don't appreciate your hard work and all that you do, because we do. And if we turn something down, I think it's for a very good reason. And again, I don't recall us ever turning back any money, especially to that magnitude. But my problem with this one is that, with the 90-10 split on a $450,000 project to hire an engineering firm or consultants, that, at the end of the day, our share was $45,000, and we would get the $407,000 from the Ohio Public Safety Grant, which is a federal funds. But when that study comes out, if we decide not to go forward with this project, as far as I understand it, ODOT could step in and say, you know what? Well, we're going to pull the grant that you got for $407,000. Now we want you to pay up. That's a problem for me. I'd be in for $45,000, but I'm not in at the risk of $450,000. So I think at this point I have to, again, unfortunately this time, I would be willing to pass on this money, and that's probably the way my vote's going to go. That's it.
Sure.
Okay. I tend to agree with Mr. Scafidi. One, I want to look down the road. I don't want to commit the city in 2022 to $1 million, which is the end. I also remember a very heated council meeting that we had about the second roundabout, where it came down to we would be hit for $300,000 to redo it, and I just don't want to put the city into that position. I agree with Mr. Scafidi. This is not something that I would support.
And I just wanted to add, we've seen several potential options that might come out of that study. One of them is a double diamond, and it's a very non-traditional intersection. We already have non-traditional intersection issues in Twinsburg, and so that is weighing on how I'm going to vote of this as well. I realize that that's not the only option, but it's one that's been presented to us.
And I wanted to add, I agree with what Mr. Scavidi said, and I've listened to Karen say that while we get money, we still have to look at what we're putting in as a city. And again, I appreciate Amy's efforts, but I would really like to see the city start spending more money on making us a walkable city. And I really feel that we need sidewalks on 82 and 91, where you see people going to work, or they're getting off buses and you can't even see them, and they're just trying to go to work. And I just feel like we need to improve safety there first. And it's sidewalks are safety and as well as pleasure, recreation, and I'd like to see us spend money in different ways, maybe versus another road, maybe $450,000 liability.
And I feel, Amy, you said this has been an issue since you started here. So this was something that, it's not a quick decision, something that took a lot of time and a lot of research before you began, before we even asked you to look. So I will be supporting this because it's difficult for me to give up $6.5 million in funding. Any other discussion? Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
No.
Mr. Bellin?
No.
Mr. Barr?
No.
Mr. Steele?
No.
Ms. McFerrin?
No.
Okay, the ordinance 112, 2017 fails by a 6-1 vote. What?
5-1.
5-1, oops, sorry, Mr. Feeling. 5-1 vote.
Yeah.
Ordinance 113, 2017.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations of the various special revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 108, 2016, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2017.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 113. I'm not sure, do we do this? Because the first one went down.
Well, you have to address it,
I have
but
to
this
address-
is
okay.
the sister legislation to what you just dealt with, so.
I see, okay. Ordinance 113, 2017, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion, it was seconded by Mr. Scafidi. This is the appropriation amendment to track the federal funds that we will not be getting from 112. Any discussion?
So what are we voting on?
This goes hand in hand with 112.
So we just need to reiterate the no.
Because there's no funds, right?
Right.
There's no need.
All right. So Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
No?
Mr. Scafidi?
No.
Mr. Steele?
No.
Mr. Barr?
No.
Ms. McFerrin?
No.
Mr. Bellin?
No.
Okay, ordinance 113, 2017 fails by a 6-0 vote. I've never done that before. Have we ever done that before?
What's that?
Have we ever done that before?
Done what?
The voted on money, that there was no money that went to.
Well, typically the contract, the authorization meeting, the contract and the appropriation typically go hand in hand. So,
Okay.
But, yeah, that's probably some of the most no's we've had in a council meeting in a while.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever actually, I don't think I've ever. Okay, next we have ordinance 117, 2017.
An ordinance accepting the bid of M. Campbell Contracting LLC for the 2018 storm sewer and culvert replacement.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 117, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, made the motion, it was seconded by Ms. McFerrin. Any discussion? Amy, you didn't need an emergency on this, did you?
Yeah, but it won't hurt.
Oh, okay. The bid was for $315,000. Any other discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ordinance 117, 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 122, 2017.
Sure you will.
An ordinance accepting the bid for the kitchen equipment of Kavanaugh Building Corporation and approving a change order to upgrade the banquet center kitchen equipment at the golf clubhouse.
Okay, do I need to amend this, Ms.? Okay.
To include the emergency clause.
Okay, so I'd like to make an amendment to make a motion to amend ordinance 122, 2017 to include an emergency, a standard emergency clause. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. Mr. Bellum seconded. Shannon, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes?
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Okay, the amendment passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make an motion to adopt ordinance 122, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second.
As an emergency.
As an emergency, thanks. All right, Mr. Bella made a second, or he seconded. Okay, so this is for the kitchen equipment and a change order for the banquet equipment totaling $308,851. The banquet kitchen is being upgraded to a full-service cooking kitchen rather than a heating service facility. And then, Mayor, did you want to talk more about this?
Yeah, this is, again, I believe the total's gonna be around the 245,000 versus the original bid of 308. But again, this was so when the project was bid originally, this the kitchen package was kept outside of the original bid. Now, all the bidders bid it, just at the time we didn't award it. And so now we're at a position where we want to award it. However, you met Jim tonight. You know, he was a consultant early on, helping us make sure the design of the kitchen was proper. And there were things that he pointed out that we just don't need to purchase. Some things were overkill, so we changed out different equipment to both save money and make it more functional. And then through that whole production, with hiring a banquet coordinator and all the interviews and everything we did, we decided that we wanted to make the kitchen at least adaptable to do our own catering in-house. So we needed to add some equipment and to that kitchen. So this particular motion encompasses all of that. It's the original kitchen in the restaurant, the changes we made, as well as making the changes to the catering kitchen to allow it to be a full-service kitchen.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to put on the record that the reason for the emergency, I know you passed the emergency, but the reason for it was addressed at the caucus, so it wasn't part of this meeting, but it was because of these prices are good through December 15th. So that's the reason that engineering department needs to get this out.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. Any other discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 122, 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote. Next, we have resolution 128, 2017.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of service weapon serial number 55B006434 to retiring police officer April K. Blueball as an honorarium for her many years of service to the city of Twinsburg.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 128, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Steele. Any discussion?
I think this has become standard when a police officer retires that we do grant them their service revolver. So we're just doing that again.
Okay. Any other discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Resolution 128, 2014, or 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote. Next, we have resolution 129, 2017.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Infoline Incorporated to provide assistance to the senior citizens in the form of establishing a lifeline program, authorizing a payment scale for participants in the program, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 129, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I made the motion. Do I need to, oh, I'm sorry, do I need to adopt it as an emergency, don't I? Sorry about that. I made the motion. It was seconded by Ms. McFerrin. Infoline's a service offered to our senior citizen at a nominal fee. There's been a $2 increase in the monthly fees due to the rising cost of the service. Any discussion on this? Did you, Shannon? Oh, Shannon. Any other discussion on this?
No, again, this is part of, early on when we were first approached by Laura, council approved this as just an additional service we offer our seniors. Something we budget for as we went through the budget process this year. This was something she was going to remove completely. However, I wanted to keep it in our budget. I wanted to keep it offering to our seniors, and so we did budget $10,000 for this. And what Laura's trying to do is make sure she stays within that $10,000 budget, because now that she's got the contract, they've increased the fee. Total cost is around, for the ones we have on the service, about almost $14,000. However, through the ones that pay and participate, we're able to keep it in that $10,000 figure. So.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Resolution 129, 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 130, 2017.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various special revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 108, 2016, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2017, and declaring an emergency.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 130, 2017, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Barr. Okay, this is in relation to the police and fire pension in the amount of $115,000. Is that correct? I have the right amount there. And it's due to retro pay from union contracts along with employee payouts and the third pay in December.
Retros and cash outs and things like that.
Okay, so it's in cash outs and, okay, and retro pay? All right, and then the emergency is needed to ensure that the budget is balanced before the end of the year. Okay, great. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 130 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Barr. Any other discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 130, 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote as an emergency. Ordinance 131, 2017.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the special revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 108, 2016, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2017, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 130, 2017, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Scafidi. Money is needed to refund the bond deposit for new construction for Pulte Homes in the amount of $10,000. An emergency for this is needed to ensure that the refund for December does not exceed the appropriations. Any other discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like, the emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 131, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Ms. McFerrin. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ordinance 131, 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote as an emergency. And finally, we have ordinance 132, 2017.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various general revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 108, 2016, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2017, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 132, 2017, and place it on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I made the motion, and it was seconded by Mr. Bellum. Okay, this amendment is needed to temporarily fund the federal grant until we receive, fund the federal grant fund until we receive reimbursement in 2018 for the FEMA grant for the flood zone property purchase that we talked about last week. Once the grants are received, the money will be put back into the general fund. An emergency is needed to ensure the grant funds are subsidized until they are received in 2018. Is there any further discussion? I say that right?
It reads federal and Ohio state grant.
Okay, I didn't have that in. I just had the federal grant in
I
there.
might have missed that. I mean, it may not have been you.
So add that in. Any other discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Okay, emergency clause passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 132, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Bellum. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 132, 2017 passes by a 6-0 vote as an emergency. Okay, now we're moving on to unfinished business, new business, miscellaneous. Do you want to start over here, Mr. Steele? Do you have
Sure.
anything? Okay.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody, and I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Scafidi?
Thank you. I do want to say one thing, seeing as this is our last meeting of the year, that, I'm really proud of all the accomplishments that we've made between the administration, all of our departments, and City Council. Although it's 2017, there's always challenges, and 2017 was no exception, but I think we made it through it, and we've made a lot of improvements to our community, and I'm very proud of our city, and I'm proud of our residents. So I think at the year end, I just reflect back on all of that and see really how blessed all of us really are, and look forward to 2018 and working with our new council and all the council up here and with the mayor and the administration and first and foremost all of our residents. So happy holidays to all. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you. And I would like to make a motion now to approve the 2008 bid list. 2018, what did I say, 2008? Oh. 2018 bid list.
It keeps coming back together. Yes, 2008.
I'm curious what that looked like. Okay, so they make a motion to approve the 2018 bid list. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I made the motion. It was approved, seconded by Mr. Scafidi. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, the motion is approved 6-0. And then for me, I'd like to special thank you. Happy holidays to everyone. I want to thank everybody for just a wonderful year, and I wish everybody the best. I also wanted to say a special thank you to Shannon for and the people involved in that Santa run. That was something else. I appreciate all the work you guys. Had to have been a crazy amount of work. So thank you very much to Steve Basso, the fire department. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And that's all I have. Ms. McFerrin?
Well, I've made it 2 years on council, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm really proud of our community and all the city employees and the way all the city employees work together and step up when we need anything. And this weekend with the fire department, I was at the breakfast for Santa, and being a mother of grown children with no grandchildren, it's just so much fun to see all the kids' faces, and that Santa run. Thank goodness for Facebook. I think I was at all the houses with you all, and that's about it. I wish everybody a happy holiday. That's it.
Yeah, I just want to echo what my fellow council members said about the Santa Run. It was an amazing event. Our kids absolutely loved it. We are so lucky to have a fire department and police department, and just we're so lucky to live in Twinsburg. So just thank you very much. I would be remiss to not remind everybody, Mr. Bonacci is not here tonight, but please make sure you shovel your sidewalks. We're going to get some snow coming up here. Stay safe, stay warm, happy holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Barr.
All right, so I'm always at the end now with this. Thank you to Chief Morgan, Assistant Chief Basso, not only for the Santa run on Sunday, which we participated in, having 2 little ones. I thought it was awesome. I think we've done it a few years now. The pancake breakfast was great. The food was really surprisingly good, so I enjoyed myself. It was very good. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody up here and thank the residents for putting their faith in me. I'm really looking forward to serving
here in the next 4 years. I consider a real privilege, and I'm honored to be here and work with such an esteemed group of people on council and administration. And just want to say happy holidays to everybody, happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2018.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to wish council Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and again, just kind of what Mr. Scafidi says, 2017 had its ups and downs, and we got a lot accomplished, there were a lot of challenges, and I really look forward to 2018, what we're going to be able to get done. And I know we always sometimes don't agree, but that's what makes the whole system work, and so I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys for all you did in 2017. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Maestros?
Thank you. Just briefly, Mr. Bellin, it's interesting you mentioned that, because if you watch Channel 19 tonight, they'll be doing a story on Twinsburg about keeping your sidewalks cleared. So hopefully Mr. Bonacci will get that note and watch that. And wish council happy holidays and congratulations on another 22 council meetings out of the way this year. Not that anyone's counting, but I certainly do. And we'll see you in January.
Thank you. Miss Collins, Mrs. Collins?
Just Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Miss House?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay. Well, this time I would like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Fury from our meeting. Do I have to, I do a motion for this? Okay. Is there a second? And that was Mr. Okay, I made the motion. Mr. Bellum, seconded. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yeah.
Motion passes 6-0. I guess I did want to say, I have to say I missed him tonight. It's awfully quiet, Mr. Fury, if you're up there watching us. So anything else? And with that, I meant out there. I meant on the TV. Oh.
I'm going to put that on a T-shirt for him for Christmas. Mrs. Stoffer missed him tonight.
Yes.
That sucks.
And so the meeting is adjourned.